Hi, this is Mark Berry. In this demonstration, we're going to learn how to consume ADO.NET data services from a WPF Windows application. As you can see, I already have Visual Studio open with a starter solution that's got NW services in it. So it's got one ASP.NET web project. In that project, there's an app data folder that has my Northwind database in it. It's also got an entity model, and to keep things simple, we've just chosen customers. I've also got a Northwind data service, and the only changes I made to this were I told it where to get the data, Northwind entities, the type, and I also added a rule, the access rule. ADO.NET data services are locked down by default. They don't expose anything, and here I've just opened everything up for our demonstration. Okay, so we're going to run this just to check, make sure everything works. It allows us to consume it through the browser, and it shows us here that we have a customers table, and I can ask it for customers, and here's a list of all of the customers in Northwind. If I wanted to, I could go get a specific customer with slightly different syntax. Or I give it the primary key that I'm looking for. Okay, so it looks like the data service is working. Now what we want to do is add a WPF Windows application to consume that from. I'm going to go to my solution and add a new project. This project is going to be a WPF Windows application in C#, and I'll call it Consume Service. I'm going to start by breaking up the grid. What we're going to do is we're going to call into the customers, and we want to, first of all, get back a distinct list of all the cities they're in, select one of the cities from that list, and then have another list box with all the customers in it that we could select from there. So I'll start here with my grid and divide it up a little bit. And I'll put a couple of controls on here. Here's a nice combo box. I'll also grab a button and a list box. Again, what we'll do in this is we will fill the combo box with the list of the cities for all of our customers, and then select a city and fill this list with the actual customer company names. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is head back to our code behind. I'll just double click on the button to take us there. We'll need this event in a moment. But I want to fill that box right after we've initialized here, still in our constructor when the window opens up. So what I want to do is I need to call out to the service. To call out to the service, I'll need to make a service reference. So we'll come back over here to our Solution Explorer. By the way, before I forget, I should set my Consume Service project to the Startup project. And then I also want to add a service reference. I'll discover what services are around. There's my Northwind service I've just created. I'll call this Northwind. This is going to build a proxy class for me that goes out and actually makes the calls. By the way, if you do this through an external tool or write your own proxy class, make sure and add system.data.services.client to be able to consume that easily. Alright, so there's our auto-generated proxy there to call our ADO.NET data service. Okay, so back to our code now. I've got my Northwind namespace, and there's my Northwind entities. I'll call this something like NW. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to consume this service here. So you can see we've got this consume this Northwind entity service. The constructor takes a URI that is the service root. So I want a new URI. And the easy way to go get that URI is just to comment this out so we don't get any errors when I try to browse. I'm going to go view that in browser real quick. Find out what the auto-generated port number was, and I'll copy and paste that. There we go. Just to get the port number there from our local host. All right. Now we have the URI to paste in. And that's a string. And we'll need to uncomment. Okay, so that's created an instance of our Northwind entity, so we can go and consume that service. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to write a link query. So we'll just start this with a from clause. Oops. From C in Northwind customers. We'd like to order by the city for our drop-down list. And we want to select the whole thing. Now, I really want distinct items here, but I can't use the parentheses around my link query and say .distinct. The problem with that is that what's going to happen with this link query is it's actually going to take that and convert it into a URI here for, I forgot our semicolon. It's going to convert it into a URI here. So this is going to be /customers to retrieve all the customers, or /customer and then the ID that we saw earlier to get a particular customer. So that's not, that syntax doesn't support everything. For instance, it doesn't support distinct. So although we could do it in link, it can't translate it into the URI. So what we're going to do is we'll just make a temporary holding place. I'll just make a generic list here of Northwind customers. And I'll go ahead and call that, go ahead and execute that query. So here when I go ahead and ask it to make that a list, it'll execute the query. We could do that a couple of different ways, but that'll execute the query. So right here, it will generate that into the URI that we want to query that from the ADO.NET data service. It'll put it into a list here in memory with all of them, not just a distinct list, and then we can take that list and use link again to choose the distinct members. So let's go to combo box 1 and get its item source, and we'll set that equal to another link query and I'll just get the city out of that object because that's all I really want in the list. And now I can call the distinct method here in memory after my initial queries come back. Okay, we're going to check just to make sure that much works and fills our combo box with a distinct list of cities for our customers. Okay, and now if we look at our combo box here, there's all of our cities. I'll pick one I know that there are multiple customers in, London, and it only appears once in the list. Looks like everything's working so far. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go back and fill in this list box. Once I've chosen something from the combo box, I'm going to fill in the list box with the customers from that particular city when they click on our button here. So it's going to be similar to what we did there. Just cut and paste for brevity. Let's see, instead of ordering by city, let's order by company name. And we don't really need an interim list here. We do want a where clause. Where the city is equal to whatever's in our combo box for a selected value, and that's what we want to compare the city to. So if the city is what's in our combo box, then that's the selection we want to make, and we want to change this to listbox1 dot item source should be equal to our query list. And the last thing we need to do is maybe back in the XAML, could have done this in code as well, but back in our XAML we may want to set the display property, because if we don't set the display member path, here we'll set it to company name, what we'll get is the default, which would be the object type, and that wouldn't be a very useful list. Okay, so let's pick our list. Again, picking a city we know there's more than one company from, and there are the companies from London. And another one just to make sure it's working. Yep, it's working. So, in this demonstration, we learned how to consume ADO.NET data services in a WPF Windows application.